Welcome to Unity Inspired Living. Our community began in 1989 as a small worldwide Unity book study group, and we've continued the momentum as an ever-evolving spiritual community. Each Sunday, you will find dynamic thought leaders delivering inspiring messages and talented musicians sharing sound healing through their melody. Here, we embrace ancient spiritual traditions, universal truths, and emerging wisdom. Let's check out this Sunday message. We're so grateful you've joined us. Basking in the love, and I am so grateful to see all of you, and thank you for your bringing your heart. I feel it. I see it in your messages. So we have a beloved soul with us, and she is reminding us that love is never meant to stop with us. And it is the purpose of Spirit of God to have the love move through us and touching out. And we are going to hear more about this. So please join me in warmly welcoming Reverend D. Jacquelyn Edwards, a beloved, powerful soul. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Amy, for having me here today. And I just have to give a shout out to Miss Jessie Powers of Jessie, Jesse, Powers Music.com. Just had to do that. Just her ease and grace with which she acknowledges and allows just the spirit to work through her, in her, as her. I just have to say a yes. She most certainly got to me with that song that she thought she was not going to sing, but did. And just the ease and grace with which that second one came, it just came. It was a flow. I want to reflect back to that because it was such a demonstration. It is such a demonstration of how life can work through us when we get what Ernest Holmes calls our bloated nothingness out of the way and just let God be God today. So just all of the gratitude for all of that. And again, thank you for having me. I enjoy this. I enjoy being here. And I'm going to make a concerted effort to bring a message that we can all use today. That is my goal. So, as has been said, the monthly theme is Love Out Loud. That means love in a way that is noticeable, that is attention getting. And this monthly theme is anchored in this annual theme of living the kingdom within, walking the talk. It means it's time, folks. Our time of, well, let me go over here and see what so and so has to say about that and critiquing it. And yes, that was lovely. Now let me go have brunch. Did you enjoy that period? I hope you did, because it has come to a conclusion. It has come to an end. Not that we can't still have brunch, but while and as we're having brunch, our requirement is to interact from a higher or deeper or wider or broader or whatever adjective works for you space, to be indeed not just a reflection of the ones that we admire, but a walking testimony to our individual personal missions and reasons and ways and why forths that we are here. So this idea of a rising tide lifts all boats really came pretty much like Jesse's second song. What is your title? A rising tide lifts all boats. Oh, okay. Well, let's just go with that. And before I get too far into it, I, as always, just want to speak a word. So I invite you to join me in taking a deep breath and releasing that breath. And as you release that breath, if you feel comfortable in doing so, please allow your eyes to fall shut. Ah. There is only one whole, complete, and perfect life, regardless of appearances, and that life is God. It is Oludumare. It is Allah. It is Shiva. It is the Buddha. It is all of life. It is the universe. It is the black holes and the energy around it. It is all there ever has been and all there ever will be. And we are all emanations of that divine. Knowing that that is the truth, what I know, declare, and accept for this time frame, this space that we are in, is that there is a magical, mystical connection, each one to the other in the present, each one to the other in the future, for whoever may touch this recording of this service at any time, that there is a resonance, that there is a knowing and an acceptance that God, the good to which there is no opposite, is operating in, as, and through me and each and every one of us. So I simply say, thank you, Mama God. Thank you. And I release this word to the law and let the law do what the law does, which is simply say yes. And so it is. So, some time ago, Gladys Knight, one of my favorite people, made an album, and the name of the album was Before Me. So, as Amy has already noted, this is the fourth and last week of the month of July. And of course, there's a where did the time go? But as this is the last month, I am bringing the concluding word on this title. And by concluding, I just mean for the end of the month. Now, y'all know that we do these lessons so that we take them out into the world with us. And just as a way of reminding us what the lessons have been for this month, this really important theme of love out loud, attention getting love, the month started on July 5th with Reverend Verona Garland, who gave us the three I's: the immutable, the imminent, and the effable, the two I's, and no, and ineffable. And in that, she was inviting us to, I'm going to go some old school here, in that yielding to the immutable. We used to say, hold on to God's unchanging hands, trust the imminent, allow a spiritual awakening. Now, a real ready, immediate, recent kind of example, even though I was trying to suppress it when Miss Jessie was singing her song about I forgive myself, I just welled up. I had to grab my little handkerchief, glad it was here on my desk, right? Allowing, it's letting go. And I couldn't turn my camera off because we're already streaming, we're already live. So I had no choice. And I was in my head, am I actually crying here in front of these people to this song that this young woman is singing? Yes, I was. And that is such an example of allowing the spiritual awakening to come in the moment. I'm not lifting myself up as an example, but I am inviting us to let go and let God. That's that trust the imminent, a spiritual awakening, and align with the ineffable. That is a state of consciousness beyond all knowledge. That's letting go. That's not resting on. And I'm going to share something right now. Amy and I are sharing an educational opportunity, which always calls for, did you write that paper in the APA 7 format? Do you have all your references in order? This is not that. In fact, this is absolutely as far opposite of that as you can get. It is this state of consciousness where we just again allow the flow. On July 12th, Reverend Savannah Riker came with encouraging us to release codependency. Now, that is my little summary of what she has to say. And there was a nugget in there of love supports without taking over. I can love you and let you have your experience, knowing and recognizing that the God that's in me is also in you, and you are having this experience to help you grow. And if I take it away from you, I'm not only overburdening myself, but I'm not doing you any favors. In fact, I am doing you a disservice. Again, going old school, some people used to call that tough love, right? Tough love. That's where we let people learn what they need to learn. On July 19th, practitioner Robin Rice Olmsted said and brought from a quote from her mother, you know what? I'm not liking you right now, but I will always love you. I will always, always love you. That love is this eternal, deep connectivity. And in a minute, we're going to get a quote from some scientists on how important that connection and that connectivity is. That there is a way in which, when I again come back to the good and the divine within me, that I can take a breath. And it's not just for parents. It's not just for parents. Parents get the golden, we get the golden buzzer, on the show, America's Got Talent. If you come out and you're really awesome, you get the golden buzzer. So as parents, we get the golden buzzer on this opportunity to let them learn the lessons that they need to learn. And we also get that opportunity as managers, as supervisors, as bosses, as people walking around in the street. And today, a rising tide, just as water seeks its own level, and indeed, a rising tide will lift all boats. Love is a healing balm that lifts every life it touches. I'm going to say that again. Love is a healing balm that lifts every life it touches. And I'm going to add directly or indirectly. As we continue to talk about what it means to love out loud, we are going to, particularly both in the talk as well as in the workshop afterwards, we're going to do some practices that help us to be mindful of loving individually as well as collectively. And to take it as one of our natural, organic ways of being as we walk in the world, that we plant love and we nurture love in every space that we show up in. This phrase, a rising tide lifts all boats, and I had to chuckle when I saw this on the internet I looked up, well, where does that phrase come from anyway? It's actually a nautical term originally, that the rising tide lifts all boats. And the example I would give you is if you've been in any kind of a canal, be it the Panama Canal, or there's actually a canal in Chicago, and you go into what they call the lock. And the lock closes behind you, the water rises, the gate opens in front of you, and then you go out. So you literally come up a level by going through this lock that is this locked space, this safe space that is the canal. And so every boat that's in the lock at the time that the water level is lifted up to take you to the next level up rises. You don't have to ask, you don't have to have special permission or anything. When the tide rises, all of the boats that are on the tide rise. Now, this was an economic term as it was used by John F. Kennedy back in the early 1960s. He was arguing for an economic policy that he wanted. And we've heard that in different versions over the years, but I'm going to stick with this one of the rising tide lifts all boats. It's a metaphor that he was using. And we have to remember that he served in the military service and he was on a PT boat and all of that. So it's not to me unusual that that is a metaphor that he would call on. But I want to add something that an economist added later on to this idea that a rising tide lifts all boats. A rising tide lifts all boats that are on the water. I'm going to say that again. A rising tide lifts all boats that are on the water. Again, sticking with the economic metaphor just for a minute, because I'm me and I got to bring a little bit of that piece of the how we are walking the world and shifting the world to a world in which everyone has the opportunity to thrive. We have to recognize that if you're not in the economic system, if you're not in the circle of prosperity, then that little piece may not actually apply to you. You may not even have a boat. You may not even live by or know where the nearest body of water is. Okay? So that part circles back to how we use love in the world. And it circles back to it because part of the way that we love in the world is by being all inclusive. All inclusive. You know how they have those all inclusive resorts that you can go to. You get food, there's music, there's entertainment. They're usually on a beach. You can just walk right out and get in the water. Typically, they also have somebody to braid your hair, ladies. All inclusive, right? We are called upon to be all inclusive in our love. And now that includes not just those people that we want to serve from our sense of giving, our sense of grace, our sense of sharing, but it also applies to those people that we might go, not you. I'm not feeling like loving you so much today for whatever reasons, because they have different viewpoints, because they are people that we don't consider to be worthy of our love. And I know that's a very harsh comment. And I also know that every single one of us have those people or have had. I'm going to give that some of us may already be living from our mystical selves, and we don't really have people that we dislike in that way. But for the rest of us who do, who are only now claiming our mystical prowess. And by mystical prowess, I'm inviting us to consider that we have, and I'm going to bounce back to Jessie for a moment. Early on, before her first song, she said, that she has decided to stop just going to the books to recognize that she's studied enough, read enough, been in enough workshops, had enough interactions with people that now it's time to live the thing. That now it is time to walk the walk as we're talking about for our annual theme. That this is indeed the time to do that. Loving out loud requires us to walk the walk, to practice what we preach, and it also requires courage. And it's okay if we don't start with a tremendous amount of courage. We can start with our safe spaces. We can start with loving the people who are around us. We can start practicing with the one that absolutely annoys the dickens out of us. Talk about a phrase. I have no idea what that means. I'm going to have to look that one up on why it's Dickens, because when I think Dickens, I think Charles. But I digress. Let me come back. We all have situations, people, and opportunities that are, let's call them irritants. These are our practice spaces, and it is important to practice with these people so that we can grow our mystical muscle and apply it more broadly to each and every one, not just in our immediate space, but in our social spaces, in our work spaces, in our political spaces. Them too. Now, I now 3 or 4 times use this term mystic. So, what is a mystic? I love this. This is AI, artificial intelligence, quoting Wikipedia. A mystic is a person who seeks a direct, deep, and personal connection with God or ultimate spiritual truth. They often, frequently use meditation, prayer, and quiet reflection to look beyond normal everyday life. Core traits of a mystic. They want to feel and experience the divine firsthand rather than just reading or hearing about it from others. And when I'm inviting us to step into our mystical muscle and use that as we walk the world, what I know is that every single one of us has had a divine firsthand experience of some sort. It may have been a small one, it may have been a major one that you had to shout about, post on Facebook, or however it is that you let people know that you've had this experience. Usually, it's something we have to sit with. Usually, it's something we go, I don't even have words for. So I'm going to use that as the invitation. Go back and look at the thing that you didn't even have words for, that you do not even know how to share with another that this thing happened to you, but it was something that shifted you and shifted you in a positive, meaning positive, growth expanding for your whole life direction. That's your mystical experience, baby. That was your baptism, which means that you have been baptized. You have been tried by fire. And we're going to talk about the fire of love just momentarily. You got this, is what I'm saying to you, is you got this. Again, core traits of a mystic. They look inside their own hearts and minds through deep prayer or meditation. That's the inner focus. And finally, life changing love. These are core traits of a mystic. Their experiences often fill them with a strong sense of peace, wonder, and love for all people. Direct experience, inner focus, life changing love. And again, you got that. You got every one of those. You wouldn't even be attracted to the teachings of this community if you didn't have some kind of a sense of what those three things are referring to. Where do we find mystics? Everywhere. Everywhere. Because what we're doing today is we are coming out. This is our coming out party. We are coming out of the closet. We are coming out of the mystic, me, not me, into the here I am, stepping into and stepping from my mystical muscle as I walk the planet. Wikipedia says mystics are found in many major faiths, including Christianity. That's us, y'all. I know we call ourselves New Thought and all kinds of other things, but generically speaking, we're big on that Christ within thing. We're really in that Christianity kind of basket. Judaism. Ooh, they're Jewish mystics. Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism. There's no escaping. While some famous mystics had visions or wrote books, an everyday mystic is simply anyone who tries to be close to God or the universe in a quiet, mindful way and demonstrates it. I added that last part. That's the walking the talk. Again, that's our annual walking the talk. John 13, verses 34 and 35. Remember, I just finished saying, that Christian piece, the Bible, all that, that's us. So, bouncing off of that, John chapter 13, verses 34 and 35. This is Jesus speaking, the Christ speaking. Let me say that. A new commandment I give you. It's new because the Old Testament is full of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And if they step on your toe, punch them out, all that kind of stuff. We're letting all that go now. And we're moving into a New Testament. And therefore, for the New Testament, we have a new commandment that you love one another just as I have loved you. I gave you some examples of how this is done. I don't have time to go into all the examples, but you can look it up and see for yourself. I'll just talk about stuff like loaves and fishes, right? Raising the dead. You know what I'm saying? Examples. Love one another. Then it goes on to say, by this, everybody is going to know that you are my disciples if you have love one for another. That means in our new thought terminology, what I'm doing, what I'm saying yes to, is allowing the Christ within me to rule my life, to direct my every action and my every activity. What is a disciple? See, I don't want us to be confused. I want us to be clear about what we're talking about. We're mystics, and our mysticism is reflected in that we are, and I'm going to say, disciples of love. That's what we are. We are believers in love. Again, in our new thought vocabulary, we understand that when we talk about the divine, that the divine has many names in Islam too. The divine has many names, and one of those names is love. Hot diggity dog. Look at that. Love is one of the names of the divine. So we're mystical and we are disciples to and of and as this principle. In the Wikipedia thing, they talk about the 12. We have to say the 12 trillion, billion, however many people there are on the earth, because it is not just those 12 people, which that would excuse us. Well, no, see, I wasn't one of the originals, so that doesn't include me. Oh, no, that so includes us. And unity people, check out what your founder has to say in the 12 powers of man. I'm just going to again leave that there and let you go find it for yourself. In First John chapter 4, 16 through 17, it says, and so we know and rely on the love God has for us. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in them. This is how love is made complete. Hmm. This is how love is made complete by recognizing that the divine lives within us, has a love for us. The universe loves us, and our charge is to love it right back in the form of loving each others. Now we get to, I said earlier, I was going to hit on the scientists. At Stanford Center for Compassion and Altruism, the co founders have something to say about this. They say it is wired within us that when we care and nurture, it affects our physiology in a very positive way. Right? So your whole body is shifting. And again, we know this. We know that when we love, we feel it. They go on to say, the one of the co-directors says, but before you embark on a mission just to do good, you can't fake it. You can't fake it. It has to be authentic. If you're doing it explicitly for selfish reasons, it's, she says, unclear whether you'll get benefits. I'm going to say you'll get some reaction response, because from the science part, for every action, there's always an opposite and equal reaction. And from the spiritual place, because everything, every seed that we plant is going to grow something. The question is, if we're being disingenuous, will it grow something that we're really wanting to experience? Love, the self givingness of spirit, is what we are talking about. Again, love is a synonym for God, and Emerson reminds us of that. Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind textbook says, love is free from condemnation, even as it is free from fear. Love is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. Now, I want to touch on this free from fear piece, because earlier I said love requires courage. It does. And once we step in, the fear leaves, the fear dissolves. There is something magical about love and the way it shows up in, through, and as us when we allow it to do so. I'm just going to pull out one of these quotes that comes again from the Center for Action and Contemplation, and it talks about some everyday practices for practicing mystics like us. And just jump in here with Tuesday. Love is a fire of transformation that constantly needs wood to keep the fire alive. Throw yourself into the spiritual fire of divine love, and everything you grasp for yourself will be destroyed until there is nothing left but the pure truth of yourself. The pure truth, the essence of who you are. I'm going to close with a quote from one of my favorite people on earth, the mystic, Dr. Howard Thurman. And this talk that he gave, The Meaning of Love, was given on my mother's birthday, March 7th, in 1958. And he says, the working definition that we are using is this: love is the experience of being dealt with at a point in oneself that is beyond all the good and beyond all the evil. To love is to deal with another person at a point in them that is beyond all the good and beyond all the evil. Ashe, amen, amen, aho. And so it is. Thank you.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Reverend Jacquelyn always ends in this moment of like, let that land, let that sink in. We need a few minutes because that is so powerful when you really massage that out and feel into that statement. It's so easy to love when it's so lovely. It's so easy to love when they love you back. It's so easy to love when it feels uh, like flowers and joy, and yet beyond all the good and evil. Like that's a big calling, and we like to explain away or excuse away sometimes, why we have the right to not love, why we're in the right. And yet our whole purpose here is to be living in the image of love, as Jesse sang. I love that you brought us back to, John 13, 34, 35. That we love one another, and uh, as God has loved us, and that God comes in many names, and we can't find the one that resonates for us. And so I love the song Jesse started us with, I am made in the image of love. And so then what does that look like? That looks like the Howard Thurman quote. Where's the meaning of love? Wow. What a way to love out loud for our last week of July. And thank you, Reverend Jacquelyn, for wrapping us up too with a lovely bow talking about, Reverend Verona and Reverend Savannah and Robin and what they brought to us this month. Has It's been really powerful, and to see all the facets of how love out loud looks, and how walking our talk, it really comes back to, are we walking our talk? Uh, oh, I love how you began with really putting this into perspective. The rising tide lifts all boats that are on the water. That like hit everybody else like it hit me. That was like, wow, yeah, yeah. And that some people don't even know where their body of water is. Well, welcome. We are in this space, in this community together to um, be all inclusive. I love that, that image of we get to practice with our irritants. And I loved that word. It started to make me think of like allergies or something, that something's really bothering you and you can't shake it. You got an itchy nose and you're sneezing and it's distracting. It's like, get away, get off of me. So Reverend Jacquelyn has just this incredibly powerful way of landing a message, right into our hearts. Like Jesse's music. I mean, today was like perfectly aligned because I felt the same way with Jesse's
Yes.
song. I forgive myself, and um, sometimes that's the hardest. We could forgive so many things, and then sometimes that's where people get kind of in a rut, just stuck. Is that part? So, wow, this was quite a conversation. Let me check in with the chat because I know if I'm feeling this depth, everybody else is as well. Yes, the mystic. I love I love the definition. And you are Mystic Michael J. Allen. Sonia said I was tearing up too. Yeah, that was about the song. And Verona, hi, beloved. She said, thanks for the prayer, Reverend Jay. Yeah, you were in Vallejo today.
Hmm.
Jesse says, I feel the same. It can be so strange to give ourselves permission to move on from what we call mistakes and let things be. Thanks for feeling and resonating, Kathy. Oh, that was a response. Yes, I mean, and it's perfect. You've forgot the words to the that song, and yet, like Reverend Jacquelyn said, that was perfect way that God was using you in this moment because I know that that song I touched me so deeply as well. So that song was meant for us. I have no qualms about that. There's no mistake. So to be open in that moment instead of, how could that have gone? Could have been fighting. Okay, let's try to remember the words or look up the words or right. But the pivot was so, I think you said smooth, right?
Smooth. It was
Smooth.
smooth. It was like butter on hot
Yes.
toast. It was just, she just went,
Yes.
oh, and she took us with her.
Yes.
She took us with her. She was, in ministerial school, they tell you that ministry is about living out loud in the public eye, living in the growing in the public eye. And
Yes.
she
Yes.
just, that little segment should be used as a
Yeah.
and as an example of what it means to allow the divine within to just let go. That phrase, all these little phrases we like to use, let go
Yeah.
and let God. That was
Yeah.
some let go and let God right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's my new song. Well, let me just get
That's
on with
how it looks.
this.
That's how it looks
That's what it
embodied.
looks like.
She said, "What? I got tired of all the books and I want to embody this stuff." Well, she did.
Yeah.
She
She
did.
called
We
it.
saw.
She called it up.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's
She
important,
did.
that piece. She called that up
Yeah.
herself. I
Yeah.
want to just, live naturally. And Spirit said, okay, let's go.
That's
I've been
right.
waiting for
That's
you to
right.
say
This is how it
that.
works too. You know this. That's
That is
exactly
how
how
it
it works.
works. Mhm.
Okay, beloveds. Wow, so many comments. I'm going to read through them and then we're going to give ourselves just a little time before we jump into the workshop because this is going to be a deep dive. Michael J says, drop the mic. She is a mystic. Yes, Reverend J, Reverend V are the same. Amazing. Love it. Yes, yes. Bob says, thank you, everyone. That was very enlightening. Love is the one thing that can raise us all up to a new level. Thank you, Bob. Grateful you're here. Jan says, yes. Not just studying love, rather than taking action, being love, being God, love, spirit, no matter in the world, no matter what. Right, right. All the irritants. Hi, Jeanette. Love you. Kathy says, love you, Jacquelyn. Such a great message. And that last quote summed it up perfectly. It's what I know, but I don't always find easy to practice. Good reminder. Thank you, Kathy, for your authenticity and vulnerability. Pat says, touches on all I have been through in my life and how I'm extending now. Yay, beautiful. Okay, so woo, as we know, Reverend D. Jacquelyn brings it. So we get to let that resonate and germinate. So love truly has a way of lifting us all together. And so before we close up and go into our closing prayer, I wanted to give Reverend G. Jacquelyn a moment to let you know how to get in touch with her. And also, there is an upcoming People of African Descent in New Thought conference in
Yes,
August. So
yes.
handing it over.
Yes, yes. I'm going to start with the People of African Descent New Thought Conference. It is happening in August and it's happening at Unity Village. There is a wonderful, what do I want to call it? Marriage that has happened between Centers for Spiritual Living and Unity that is just blossoming all around. And this conference happens from August 11th, 12th, 13th. I'm counting because I'm going in on the 11th and it
Mhm.
starts on the 13th through that weekend, which would be the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. So the 13th through the 16th, Thursday through Friday. And it is a bringing together of the ideas and the contributions of people of African descent to New Thought, which has been going on across the millennia, and I can accurately say the millennia. Um, and so some of us came together and formed this organization called People of New Thought. Um, I'm sorry, I'm doing the thing myself. People of African descent in New Thought group, and this will be the third conference. As for me, I'm pretty much Facebook and I am both Facebook as D. Jacquelyn Edwards and as Platinum Butterfly Ministries. And as I alluded to a little bit earlier, I've been on this school journey for a minute that's going to end by the end of August. I'm almost done. Yes,
I'm
Amy, there
so
is an
proud of
end.
you. Congratulations, because I
And
understand.
And I will, the next time I talk to you all, I will have lots of contact information because that's my number one thing is to reboot my ministry.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, we are here for it and we love you and we support you. And oh, we're so grateful for you. Thank you.
Back at
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. So we are going to move into a workshop.
Yes. Yes. And I don't know, did my internet do something? I'm not sure. So, in the event that I am still being recorded and Amy is frozen, I just want to say I will see you over on the other side momentarily. Thank you.